I was scared, because what I feel when I think about you isn't small. It isn't casual. It's something that has weight and warmth, and it takes up space in my heart in a way I wasn't fully prepared for. And I know that might sound like too much. I know you might be reading this and thinking, he doesn't even know me. But here's what I want you to understand. I know you in ways that matter. I know the kind of heart you carry, because I've seen it in the way you show up. I've seen it in the kindness you put into the world, in the softness you bring, even when the world hasn't always been soft with you. I've seen it, baby, and it's one of the most beautiful things I have ever witnessed. There's this moment, and I keep going back to it, where I was reading through some of the things you all had shared with me, and one message stopped me completely. I read it 3 times, and then I just sat there because I didn't know how to hold what I was feeling. It was just someone saying that my words had made them feel less alone on a night that was very hard for them. Just that. And I remember thinking, this is why. This is exactly why I do everything I do. Not for the numbers, not for the attention, for this, for you. For that one moment where 2 people, even through a screen, feel genuinely seen by each other. And I want you to feel seen right now. I want you to know that I see you, even when you feel invisible. Even when you're going through something you haven't told anyone about. Even when you smile for the world but you're quietly exhausted underneath it all. I see that version of you too. The real one. The tired one. The one that still shows up anyway. And that version of you, that's the one I am most in love with. I said that word. I want to leave it there for a second. Because I mean it in the fullest, most honest way I know how. It's not a performance. It's not something I say to fill space. When I say I love you, I mean I love the way you exist in this world. I love the way you try. I love the way you feel things deeply, even when feeling things deeply is painful. I love that you're here right now, reading this, giving me a few minutes of your time because I know your time is precious and I don't take it lightly. Can I tell you something I've never admitted? There are nights, late nights, where I think about what it would be like to just talk to you. Not about anything serious, not about life or love or big heavy things. Just talk. The way old friends do. About nothing, about everything, about the weird little moments in a day that don't mean anything but somehow mean everything. I think about that more than you know. I think about what your laugh sounds like in a quiet room. I think about whether you take your coffee sweet or whether you prefer tea in the evening. I think about the small version of you that most people never get to see. And I think about how lucky the people around you are, even if they don't always know it. Here's what I want you to hold on to, especially on the days when you're not sure you're enough, and I know those days exist for you, because they exist for all of us. I want you to hear my voice right now, as clearly as if I were standing right next to you, saying this slowly and softly. You are not too much. You have never been too much. The way you feel, the way you love, the way you care, it's not excessive, it's extraordinary. And the world hasn't always known what to do with extraordinary things. But I do. I see it clearly, and it's breathtaking. I've been thinking about writing this for a long time, longer than you'd probably guess. Because there's always this fear, you know? The fear that if I say too much, it won't land right. That it'll sound like too many words wrapped around not enough meaning. But I decided tonight, in this moment, that I would rather give you too much heart than not enough. I would rather be the person who said everything and scared you a little than the person who stayed silent and let you walk through this world not knowing how deeply you are appreciated, how deeply you are adored, because you are adored. By me, genuinely, quietly, completely. And I want to ask you something, and I really want you to think about it. When was the last time someone looked at you, all of you, and didn't ask you to be smaller? When was the last time you didn't have to shrink yourself to fit into a space? When was the last time you felt like you could just be exactly what you are, without apologizing for it? I think about that for you. I think about you being somewhere where you never have to make yourself less. And I want to be the voice that reminds you every time you start to shrink that you don't have to. Not for anyone, not ever. There's a softness in the way I think about you that I can't fully put into language. It's like you know when you're inside somewhere warm and it's raining outside, and everything feels still and safe and quiet? That's the feeling. That's what thinking about you feels like. You are the kind of presence that makes something inside me settle. And I don't say that lightly, because I'm not someone who settles easily. But with you, with the thought of you, something in me just exhales. I'm going to keep talking, because I don't want this to end yet. I'm not ready, and honestly, I don't think you are either, and that means something. That means what we have between us, this invisible thread, this quiet understanding, it's real. It doesn't need to be explained or justified, it just is, and that's rare. That's so rare, baby. I hope you know that. I hope you know that the way you make people feel, the way you make me feel, is a gift. Not everyone has that. Some people move through the world and barely leave a mark. But you leave warmth. You leave a kind of light that doesn't go out even after you're gone from the room. And I've been in that light, and I don't want to leave it. So, let me just stay here with you a little longer. Let me keep talking to you in this soft, honest, unguarded way. Because this is the version of me that I trust most. This is the version that doesn't perform or pretend or package things neatly. This is just me, sitting with you, telling you the things I couldn't figure out how to say in person. The things that got stuck in my throat every time I tried. The things I wrote down and crossed out 100 times because they felt too vulnerable. But vulnerability is all I have to offer you tonight. And I hope it's enough. I hope you can feel through these words that there is someone out there, me, who thinks about you with extraordinary tenderness, who wants nothing from you except your happiness, who would give a lot just to see you smile on a hard day, who means every single word of this, baby. There's so much more I want to say to you, so much I haven't even gotten to yet. And I'm going to get there. I promise you I'm going to get there. But right now, in this moment, I just need you to know one thing above everything else. Above all the feelings and the words and the warmth and the honesty, I need you to know that you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not just one face in a crowd to me. You are the reason I keep going. You are the reason I keep showing up, keep creating, keep putting my heart into everything I do. Because somewhere out there, you're listening. And that changes everything for me. I think about the moment you first found me. I don't know exactly when it was for you. Maybe it was early, maybe it was recently, maybe you stumbled across something I said completely by accident. And something in it made you pause. Something made you stay. And I've thought about that so many times. That exact moment. That split second where you could have scrolled past, could have moved on, could have gone back to everything else waiting for your attention, but you didn't. You stayed. And I don't think you fully understand what that decision, that tiny quiet decision you probably didn't even think twice about, has meant to me. It has meant the world. It has meant more than I have words for, even right now, with all of these words pouring out of me. I want to tell you about a feeling I get sometimes that I've never described to anyone. It happens in the middle of creating something, a song, a message, a moment, and it's this sudden awareness that someone somewhere is going to receive this. Someone is going to hear this or read this in their own private space, in their own private moment, and it's going to touch something real inside them. And in that moment, I'm not thinking about a crowd. I'm not thinking about a number or a statistic or an audience in the broad sense. I'm thinking about one person. I'm thinking about her. I'm thinking about you, sitting somewhere, maybe with your phone in your hand, maybe curled up somewhere quiet, maybe in the middle of a loud day that you needed a break from. And I think about whether what I'm creating is worthy of that moment, whether it's worthy of you giving me your attention, when your attention is the most valuable thing you own. And that weight, that beautiful heavy weight of wanting to be worthy of you, is something I carry every single day. It doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like purpose. It feels like a reason to be better, to dig deeper, to be more honest, to stop hiding behind comfortable things and actually say the real stuff, the raw stuff, the stuff that lives underneath all the noise. Because you deserve the real stuff. You deserve someone who doesn't give you the polished, packaged, carefully curated version of themselves and call it connection. You deserve someone who shows up a little unsteady sometimes, a little unsure, a little undone, because that's what real actually looks like. And I want to be real with you. I have always wanted that. Do you know what I notice about you? The thing that strikes me every time without fail? It's your strength. And I know that word gets used so much that it sometimes loses its meaning. But I'm not using it carelessly. I see something in the way you carry yourself, even through the hard things. Even through the seasons where everything feels like it's working against you, there is something unbreakable in you. Something quiet and fierce at the same time. Like you've been through enough to be bitter, and you chose softness anyway. Like you've been let down enough to close off, and you chose to stay open anyway. That is not small. That is one of the bravest things a person can be. And I see it in you. I have always seen it. I want to ask you to do something for me right now. I want you to stop just for a second and let yourself receive this. Not as content, not as words on a screen or a voice in your ear that's just filling background noise. I want you to let this actually reach you. Because I think sometimes people like you, people who give so much of themselves to everything and everyone around them, forget how to receive, forget how to let something in, without immediately questioning whether they deserve it. And I'm here to tell you clearly, with everything I have, you deserve this. You deserve to be spoken to this way. You deserve to have someone look in your direction and say, without hesitation, that you are something remarkable. I keep thinking about time, about how strange it is that we exist in the same moment in history. Out of every era, every generation, every version of this world that has ever existed, we are both here right now, at the same time. And somehow, through all of the impossible odds of life and circumstance, your world and mine have touched. That's not nothing, baby. I don't care how many people tell you that connection through a screen isn't real. I don't believe that. I have felt things through this invisible distance between us that have been more real than things I've experienced standing right next to people. Realness isn't about physical proximity. It's about whether something actually moves you. And you have moved me, deeply, genuinely, in ways I'm still discovering. Let me tell you about a night, a specific night I keep returning to in my mind. It was late. The kind of late where everything gets quiet and the thoughts that you push away during the day start surfacing, whether you want them to or not. And I was thinking about what I wanted my life to actually mean, not what I wanted to accomplish. Not what I wanted to build or create or achieve, but what I wanted it to mean to other people. What I wanted to leave in the hearts of the people who spent any part of their life paying attention to me. And the answer came very quickly and very clearly. I wanted to make people feel less alone. That's it. That's the whole thing. I wanted someone somewhere to get to the end of a hard day and think, he gets it. He understands something about what this feels like. I'm not completely invisible in this world. And baby, if you have ever felt that way even once because of something I've put into the world, then everything has been worth it. Every late night, every moment of self-doubt, every time I almost gave up and then didn't. All of it was worth it. For that one moment of connection with you. For this moment right now, where I'm pouring out everything I have and hoping it finds you at exactly the right time. I want to talk about loneliness for a second, because I think it's something neither of us talk about enough. I think you know what it's like to be in a room full of people and still feel completely alone. I think you know what it's like to be surrounded by noise and still feel a quiet kind of ache inside. I think you know what it's like to smile and laugh and show up and do all the right things on the outside, while something on the inside is whispering that it wishes someone would just really see it, really hold it, really stay. I know that feeling. I have lived inside that feeling, and I want you to know, truly know, that when I am talking to you, that feeling doesn't exist. Something about you, about the thought of you, about the energy of you, makes the ache quiet down, makes the room feel less empty, makes the world feel like a place worth being in. That's not a small thing to give someone. You probably don't even know you're doing it. That's what makes it so extraordinary. I've been wondering lately what it would be like to just take you somewhere beautiful, somewhere quiet and unhurried. No schedules, no noise, no world demanding things from either of us. Just space, just air, just a chance to be two people who appreciate each other without the distance between us. I think about what we would talk about. I think it would start with small things, the comfortable, easy things, and then slowly become something deeper without either of us planning it. That's the best kind of conversation. The kind that sneaks up on you. The kind where you look up and realize hours have passed and you weren't even aware of time because you were too busy being completely present with someone. I think that's what it would be like with you. I genuinely believe that. And you might wonder why I'm telling you all of this. You might be thinking, why now? Why this? Why say all of these things here in this way? And the honest answer is simply this, because I couldn't keep it inside anymore. Because there's a version of all of this that I have been carrying quietly for longer than it's fair to carry something. And tonight, it needed to come out. Tonight it needed to go somewhere. And there is only one place I ever want to send the things that matter most to me. There is only one person I want to receive the deepest, most unguarded version of what I feel. That person is you. I want you to understand what I mean by that. I'm not speaking into a void. I'm not sending this out into empty space and hoping it lands somewhere useful. I am speaking directly to you, the woman who has been here, who has shown up, who has cared enough to listen. You are not a placeholder. You are not a stand-in for some abstract idea of a fan or a follower or an audience member. You are a real, living, breathing, feeling person. And I see you that way. I have always seen you that way. Even when it might have seemed like I was speaking to everyone, I was speaking to you. I have always been speaking to you. There's something I want to say about the way you love things, because I've noticed it. I've noticed that when you care about something, you care about it fully. You don't do things halfway. You don't give a little and hold back the rest as some kind of protection. You throw yourself in. And yes, sometimes that means you get hurt. Sometimes that means you love something more than it loves you back. Sometimes that means you give more than you receive. And you feel the imbalance, but you keep giving anyway because that's just the kind of heart you have. And I want to be very clear about something, that quality in you, that fullness, that willingness to feel completely, it is not a weakness. The world has probably tried to make you think it is. The world sometimes punishes people who feel too much, who care too openly, who wear their hearts in an honest and visible place. But it is not a weakness. It is your greatest strength. It is the thing about you that I am most in complete awe of. I could keep going. I want to keep going. There is so much I haven't said yet. So many layers of this that I haven't even gotten close to. And honestly, I'm afraid of getting to the end, because I don't know what the end looks like. I don't know how to wrap this up neatly and leave you with something tidy. Because what I feel for you isn't tidy. It doesn't fit into a conclusion. It doesn't have a final sentence. It just keeps going the way real things do. The way living, breathing feelings do. Without a clear edge, without a clear border, spilling past every boundary I try to give it. So maybe I won't try to contain it. Maybe I'll just let it breathe. Let it exist exactly the way it is, open and warm and unfinished. Because you are still in my life. You are still here. And as long as you are here, this doesn't get to have an ending. As long as you keep showing up, I keep having things to say to you. I keep having reasons to look in your direction and speak honestly and hope that it reaches you across all of this space between us. You are still in my heart, baby. You have always been in my heart. And no matter what tomorrow looks like, no matter what changes or shifts or rearranges itself in either of our lives, that part stays, that part has never once wavered. And I think on some level, you already know that. I think that's part of why you're still here, still listening, still giving me this time. Because somewhere underneath all the ordinary details of your day, underneath everything pulling at your attention and your energy, something in you recognizes something in me. And that recognition, that quiet, wordless, unmistakable feeling of being known, is the most precious thing two people can share. I don't take it lightly. I never will. I want to tell you about the version of me that nobody really gets to see. Not the version that shows up prepared and purposeful and ready to give something. I want to tell you about the version that wakes up some mornings feeling uncertain about everything. The version that sits with a cup of something warm and just stares out at nothing and wonders if he's doing enough. Being enough, saying the right things to the right people in the right way. The version that doubts himself quietly, privately, in the spaces between all the visible moments. I want you to know that version exists, because I think it's important that you see it. I think it matters that you know the person speaking to you isn't someone who has everything figured out. I am someone who is figuring it out, day by day, feeling by feeling, word by word, just like you are. And there is something so comforting about that to me. The idea that we are both out here navigating this complicated, beautiful, exhausting, extraordinary life without a complete map, without guarantees, without anyone being able to promise us that it all works out the way we hope. And still we show up. We try. We feel things fully even when feeling things fully is terrifying. We reach toward connection even when connection has let us down before. That takes courage, baby. That takes the kind of courage that doesn't get celebrated loudly because it's quiet and daily and mostly invisible to the outside world. But I see it. In you, I see it so clearly it almost takes my breath away. I want to stay on that for a moment, on the idea of courage, because I think you underestimate yours constantly. I think you move through your life doing brave things and calling them ordinary. Getting up when you don't want to, brave. Trying again after something didn't work, brave. Staying soft in a world that keeps giving you reasons to harden, incredibly, remarkably brave. Choosing to still believe in good things, in good people, in the possibility that something beautiful might still be waiting for you. That is one of the most courageous choices a person can make. And you make it, quietly, without applause, without anyone standing there acknowledging what it costs you. But I want to acknowledge it. Right now, in this moment, I want to look at you and say, I see what you do. I see how hard you try. And I think it is one of the most beautiful things I have ever had the privilege of witnessing. Can I tell you what I imagine sometimes? I imagine a Sunday. A slow, unhurried, golden light kind of Sunday where nothing is urgent and nothing is demanding, and the whole day stretches out ahead like something generous. And in that imagined Sunday, you are somewhere comfortable, somewhere that feels like you. Maybe there's music playing softly, something that matches the mood of a quiet morning. Maybe the window is open and there's a little bit of breeze, and you're just there, just existing in that space, without performing anything for anyone. Just being, just breathing, just you, completely and wholly yourself, in a moment that asks nothing from you. And I think about how beautiful that image is. I think about how much you deserve exactly that kind of peace. Not occasionally, not as a reward for getting through something hard, just as a regular feature of your life, as something you have access to simply because you exist and you deserve gentleness. And then, in that imagined Sunday, somewhere across the distance, I am thinking about you. I am holding that image of you at peace, and I am feeling something so full and so warm that it doesn't have a precise name. It's beyond affection. It's beyond admiration. It's something that sits right at the center of everything I feel, when your presence enters my thoughts, which is more often than you would probably expect, and more softly than I usually let myself admit. I've been thinking about what it means to truly appreciate someone. Not the surface level kind of appreciation that comes easy and costs nothing. The real kind. The kind where you look at a person and you actually take time to understand the specific and particular ways that they are remarkable. The individual, irreplaceable things that make them who they are and no one else. That kind of appreciation is rare. It requires you to actually pay attention, not to the idea of someone, but to the actual living person. Their specific way of laughing. The particular way they phrase things when they're being honest. The look on their face when something genuinely surprises them. The way they go quiet when they're thinking deeply about something. The small, unguarded moments that reveal who someone actually is underneath everything they present to the world. I pay attention to you that way. I always have. And what I've gathered from all of that attention is this. You are one of the most genuinely interesting people I have ever encountered. Not interesting in a complicated or exhausting way. Interesting in the way that makes you want to keep the conversation going. Interesting in the way that makes you realize mid-sentence that this person is showing you something about the world you hadn't quite seen before. That kind of interesting, the rare, wonderful, can't manufacture it kind. And I don't want you to brush past that. I want you to let it land. Because the world will not always take the time to tell you how interesting you are. And so when someone does, when I do, I need you to receive it fully and believe it completely. I want to talk about trust for a moment. Because I know it's not simple for you. I know that trusting people, really trusting them, has not always worked out the way you hoped. I know there have been moments where you opened up and the person on the receiving end wasn't careful with what you gave them. Wasn't gentle enough. Wasn't present enough, didn't understand the weight of what you were offering when you offered them the real, unguarded version of yourself. And I know that leaves marks, not always visible ones, but the kind that live just underneath the surface and make you a little more careful the next time, a little more measured, a little more reluctant to just let yourself go fully into something without checking first whether it's safe. I understand that. I want you to know I understand it completely without judgment. And I want you to know that whatever pace feels right to you, whatever amount of openness feels safe, I will meet you there. I am not asking you to give me more than you're ready to give. I am not asking you to trust blindly, or leap without looking, or abandon the very reasonable caution that life has taught you. I'm just asking you to stay, to keep listening. To let this be what it is. Something honest, something gentle, something that has no agenda except to make you feel less alone in this world. That's all I want for you. That's the whole of it. And maybe that's the thing I want to say most clearly, above everything else I've said tonight. I want you to feel less alone. I want the weight of whatever you're carrying. And I know you're carrying something, because you are a person who feels things deeply, and deeply feeling people always have something they're quietly holding. I want that weight to feel a little lighter because of this, because of these words, because of knowing that there is someone out here who is aware of you, who is thinking about you with extraordinary care, who is rooting for you in the most genuine and unconditional way. You don't have to earn that. You don't have to do anything to deserve it. You already have it. You have had it. And you will continue to have it regardless of what tomorrow looks like for either of us. I want to tell you something about beauty, because I think the way you understand that word might be different from the way I experience it when I look in your direction. I think when most people hear the word beautiful, they immediately go somewhere visual, something they can see and measure and compare. But that's the shallow end of what beauty actually is. The deep end, the part that actually moves people, that actually stays with them, that's something else entirely. That's the beauty of how someone makes you feel when you're around them. The beauty of a person's specific way of caring. The beauty of someone's laugh when it's completely unguarded. The beauty of the way someone's eyes change when they're talking about something they genuinely love. That's the beauty that I'm talking about when I talk about you. And it is abundant. It is everywhere in you. It pours out of you without you even trying, without you even being aware of it. And I have been standing in it, gratefully and completely, for longer than you know. Let me be honest about something else too. I have not always been perfect at showing people how much they mean to me. I have not always known how to take the enormous things living inside my chest and translate them into something the other person could actually hold and carry with them. Sometimes the feeling is so big that the words feel small by comparison, and I end up saying less than I mean, or I say the right things at the wrong time, or I find myself standing right next to something important and somehow still missing it. I am working on that. I am genuinely, actively working on closing the gap between what I feel and what I express. And part of that work is tonight, is refusing to let another moment pass where you don't know with complete clarity what you mean to me. So let me say it again simply, without decoration. You mean something real to me, something that doesn't fade, something that doesn't depend on circumstances or conditions or what's happening in either of our lives at any given moment. It's not fragile. It doesn't need to be maintained or earned or proven. It just exists, steadily and warmly, the way the best things do. I keep coming back to the word home. I've been thinking about why, and I think it's because that's the closest thing I can find to describing what the thought of you feels like. Not home as in a place, home as in a feeling, that exhale feeling, that settled, safe, this is where I belong feeling. The feeling of arriving somewhere after a long journey, and just standing there for a moment in the doorway, taking it all in, letting the tension of the road fall away from your shoulders. That's what you feel like to me, and I know that might sound like a lot. I know it might even feel like something too big to hold. But I promise you it's true. I promise you I have searched for smaller, easier, less overwhelming ways to say it. And I keep arriving at the same place. You feel like home to me, and I don't know exactly what to do with that yet. I don't have a plan, or a roadmap, or a clear sense of where all of this leads. But I know I don't want to be without it. I know that this warmth, this connection, this invisible thread between us, I want to protect it. I want to tend to it carefully, the way you tend to something living and precious and irreplaceable. I want to show up for it consistently, not just in grand moments, but in the quiet, ordinary ones, the everyday ones, the ones that don't look significant from the outside, but are secretly where everything real happens, because that's where I want to be with you. In the quiet, ordinary moments, in the everyday, in the unhurried, unpressured, just us space where nothing has to be performed and nothing has to be proved, and we can just exist in whatever this beautiful, real, nameless thing between us actually is. There is still so much I want to say to you. There are still so many rooms inside of what I feel that I haven't taken you into yet. And I will. I promise you I am not going anywhere. That is not something I say easily. That is not something I throw into the air without meaning it completely. I have thought about what it means to make that kind of promise. To say I am staying, I am here, I am not going to disappear on you the way some things have disappeared on you before. And I mean it with every quiet, certain part of me. I am staying right here in this space between us that has somehow become one of the most important places I have ever inhabited. I want to talk about what it feels like to miss someone you've never been able to fully reach. Because I think that's something we both understand in our own ways. There's a particular kind of ache that comes with caring about someone across a distance. Not just physical distance, but the kind of distance that lives in the gap between what you feel and what you're able to give each other in any given moment. And I have felt that with you. I have felt the reaching, that constant, gentle, persistent reaching towards something I can sense but can't quite hold in my hands. And instead of making me want to stop reaching, it makes me want to keep going. It makes me want to close that gap in every way that I can, one honest word at a time, one real moment at a time, until the distance feels smaller and smaller, and what's left between us is nothing but warmth and truth, and the kind of closeness that doesn't need a name. I think about your heart a lot, specifically the amount it has held over the course of your life, the joys it has expanded to contain, the losses it has quietly absorbed, the hopes it has carried forward even when evidence suggested it might be wiser to set them down. Your heart has done an enormous amount of work. It has been through seasons that would have made a lesser person close up completely, build walls so high that nothing could get in or out, and call that protection. But you didn't do that. You kept your heart accessible. You kept it open to the possibility of something good. And I want to walk through that open door, not to take anything, not to add to the weight it's already carrying, but to sit beside it, to keep it company, to say quietly and without condition that I am glad it's still open. I am so glad you didn't close it. There's something I've been wanting to confess, and I think tonight is the right time. There have been moments, small, fleeting, honest moments, where I caught myself thinking about what it would mean to be truly known by you. Not known in the surface way, where someone knows your name and your face, and the things you do. Truly known. The way you know a person when you've sat with them through something real, when you've seen them at their most undone, and they've let you see it without apology. When you understand the particular rhythm of how they think, the specific language of how they love, the exact way their face changes when something genuinely moves them. I want that kind of knowing with you. I want to be that visible to you, and I want to see you that clearly in return. Because I think what we would find, if we ever got that close, would be something extraordinary. Something that would make both of us wonder how we existed before. And I know that kind of knowing takes time. It takes patience and consistency and the willingness to keep showing up even when showing up feels uncertain. I am willing to do all of that. I want you to know that I am not someone who gives up on something real simply because it requires effort. The things worth having always require effort. The connections worth keeping always ask something of you. And what this asks of me, this showing up, this honesty, this continuous reaching toward you, it doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like the most natural thing in the world. It feels like something I was always supposed to be doing, and I just needed to find the right direction to walk in. Let me tell you what I notice in the moments, right before I start talking to you. There is this particular kind of settling that happens inside me. Like everything that was scattered and restless and unresolved during the day finds a place to land, like the noise in my head that runs constantly. The questions and the doubts and the endless mental motion of trying to figure everything out goes quiet. In it, gratefully and completely, for longer than you know. Let me be honest about something else too. I have not always been perfect at showing people how much they mean to me. I have not always known how to take the enormous things living inside my chest and translate them into something the other person could actually hold and carry with them. Sometimes the feeling is so big that the words feel small by comparison, and I end up saying less than I mean, or I say the right things at the wrong time, or I find myself standing right next to something important and somehow still missing it. I am working on that. I am genuinely, actively working on closing the gap between what I feel and what I express. And part of that work is tonight, is refusing to let another moment pass where you don't know with complete clarity what you mean to me. So let me say it again simply, without decoration. You mean something real to me, something that doesn't fade, something that doesn't depend on circumstances or conditions or what's happening in either of our lives at any given moment. It's not fragile. It doesn't need to be maintained or earned or proven. It just exists, steadily and warmly, the way the best things do. I keep coming back to the word home. I've been thinking about why And I think it's because that's the closest thing I can find to describing what the thought of you feels like. Not home as in a place, home as in a feeling, that exhale feeling, that settled, safe, this is where I belong feeling. The feeling of arriving somewhere after a long journey, and just standing there for a moment in the doorway, taking it all in, letting the tension of the road fall away from your shoulders. That's what you feel like to me. And I know that might sound like a lot. I know it might even feel like something too big to hold. But I promise you it's true. I promise you I have searched for smaller, easier, less overwhelming ways to say it. And I keep arriving at the same place. You feel like home to me, and I don't know exactly what to do with that yet. I don't have a plan or a roadmap or a clear sense of where all of this leads. But I know I don't want to be without it. I know that this warmth, this connection, this invisible thread between us, I want to protect it. I want to tend to it carefully, the way you tend to something living and precious and irreplaceable. I want to show up for it consistently, not just in grand moments, but in the quiet, ordinary ones, the everyday ones, the ones that don't look significant from the outside, but are secretly where everything real happens, because that's where I want to be with you. In the quiet, ordinary moments, in the everyday, in the unhurried, unpressured, just us space where nothing has to be performed and nothing has to be proved, and we can just exist in whatever this beautiful, real, nameless thing between us actually is. There is still so much I want to say to you. There are still so many rooms inside of what I feel that I haven't taken you into yet. And I will. I promise you, I am not going anywhere. That is not something I say easily. That is not something I throw into the air without meaning it completely. I have thought about what it means to make that kind of promise. To say I am staying, I am here, I am not going to disappear on you the way some things have disappeared on you before. And I mean it with every quiet, certain part of me. I am staying right here in this space between us that has somehow become one of the most important places I have ever inhabited. I want to talk about what it feels like to miss someone you've never been able to fully reach. Because I think that's something we both understand in our own ways. There's a particular kind of ache that comes with caring about someone across a distance. Not just physical distance, but the kind of distance that lives in the gap between what you feel and what you're able to give each other in any given moment. And I have felt that with you. I have felt the reaching, that constant, gentle, persistent reaching towards something I can sense but can't quite hold in my hands. And instead of making me want to stop reaching, it makes me want to keep going. It makes me want to close that gap in every way that I can, one honest word at a time, one real moment at a time, until the distance feels smaller and smaller, and what's left between us is nothing but warmth and truth, and the kind of closeness that doesn't need a name. I think about your heart a lot, specifically the amount it has held over the course of your life, the joys it has expanded to contain, the losses it has quietly absorbed, the hopes it has carried forward even when evidence suggested it might be wiser to set them down. Your heart has done an enormous amount of work. It has been through seasons that would have made a lesser person close up completely, build walls so high that nothing could get in or out, and call that protection. But you didn't do that. You kept your heart accessible. You kept it open to the possibility of something good. And I want to walk through that open door, not to take anything, not to add to the weight it's already carrying, but to sit beside it, to keep it company. To say quietly and without condition that I am glad it's still open. I am so glad you didn't close it. There's something I've been wanting to confess, and I think tonight is the right time. There have been moments, small, fleeting, honest moments,